Police freeze over $2.7 billion of assets, reportedly linked to Cambodian tycoon Chen Zhi and his alleged scam empire. A man has died from suspected biogas inhalation while working in a Mong Kok alley. And Japan deploys military for non-combat assistance after record bear attacks across the country. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Evan Bai. Police have frozen over $2.7 billion of assets linked to a transnational fraud syndicate. No arrests have been made so far. Sources say the case is connected to Cambodian tycoon Chen Zhi, wanted by the United States for cryptocurrency scams. Jamie Liu reports.
Police said they found money laundering activities after initiating an investigation into companies tied to the syndicate. They froze some $2.75 billion in assets, including cash, stocks, and investment funds believed to be criminal proceeds. The Financial Intelligence and Investigation Bureau is now heading the probe. Sources said the case involves Chen Zhi, founder and chairman of Cambodian conglomerate Prince Group. U.S. prosecutors have charged him over crypto scams tied to forced labor camps and seized over $15 billion in Bitcoin. At least 2 Hong Kong-listed companies linked to Chen were sanctioned by the U.S. and the United Kingdom. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
A man in his 60s died from a suspected biogas inhalation while working on a drainage project in Mong Kok. Staff from the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department transferred the deceased out of a back alley in Portland Street, where he was found lying face down in the sewer, about 1 meter in depth. Firefighters confirmed his death after rescuing him, and his family members later rushed to the scene. A truck with the Chinese characters "Drain Services" written on its side was parked nearby. Police classified it as a dead body found case. Fei Su, chief executive of the Association for the Rights of Industrial Accident Victims, said the deceased was conducting a private drainage service by himself and is suspected to have fainted after inhaling biogas. The cause of the death is currently under investigation, and representatives from the Drainage Services Department have arrived at the site for further inquiries. A rehabilitation bus driver died after he was struck by a private car while he was operating the lifting platform at the rear of his vehicle in Sha Tin this morning. The fatal incident occurred on Yuen Chau Kok Road. The front of the private car was severely damaged. The back of the rehab bus was destroyed, with the lift platform deformed. Police received reports of the crash around 8 a.m. and rushed to the scene, deploying a sniffer dog to search the private vehicle for any illegal substances. The bus driver reportedly parked the vehicle at the roadside and walked to the rear to operate the lift platform in preparation to pick up passengers. When the driver of the private car allegedly failed to put on the brakes in time and struck the bus driver suffered serious injuries and died at the hospital. Meanwhile, the private car driver also sustained injuries and was taken to the hospital. He was later arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving. The government has demanded a comprehensive review and reform proposal from the Medical Council after a disciplinary body terminated an inquiry into a pediatrician accused of a medical blunder that left an infant paralyzed in 2009, following a delay of 8.5 years by its own secretariat. Kunting Yang reports.
Health Secretary Lo Chongmao said he has formally written to the Medical Council requesting a detailed explanation of its investigation and complaint handling mechanisms and demanding concrete improvement proposals within 8 weeks. The intervention came after the Council decided last week to permanently stay an inquiry into a pediatric case that had been delayed for years. The legal saga began in 2016 when a Malayan couple surnamed Lai filed a complaint to the council alleging their newborn son developed cerebral palsy because a Baptist hospital pediatrician failed to act promptly on nurses' warnings. After 8.5 years of scheduling delays, The inquiry panel ultimately ruled that too much time had passed for the pediatrician to receive a fair hearing. However, following criticism from the couple involved and patient right groups, in addition to health authorities' intervention, the council announced on Monday that it will review the panel's decision on November 22nd. Those stressed the Lai couple placed significant trust in Hong Kong's healthcare system and patiently wait for a decade for a result. It promised to give them an answer regardless of the outcome, while pledging coordinated support from the Social Welfare Department and the Education Bureau for the now paralyzed child. The health chief also pledged support for the medical council, which he said is under supervision by the Department of Health and has a heavy workload of processing over 8,700 complaints over the past 5 years. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
An infectious disease expert said Hong Kong's latest confirmed case of chikungunya fever suggests the possibility of further local infections. But he stressed the primary goal is still to stop a major outbreak in the city and assured residents there's no need to panic. Jimmy Liu reports.
Mount Avon in Tsing, where the third local case was detected, ramped up anti-mosquito measures such as street cleaning and insecticide spraying. Among the places listed as being at high exposure risks include a kindergarten in the 45-year-old male patient's residence estate, the Kwai Chung shopping center, visited by the patient during his incubation period, and the Shun Tuk Center in Sheung Wan, where he goes to work. The patient was described by an infectious disease expert as having a relatively extensive footprint in the city, making it harder to trace the source. This also makes it more likely for chikungunya fever to spread locally via the patient if he was bitten by a mosquito, according to Jasper Chan, a clinical professor at the University of Hong Kong, who spoke on a radio program. With new cases still being found in the Greater Bay Area and frequent cross-border travel, Chan said hidden transmissions by those with mild symptoms are possible as well. But he urged the public not to panic, saying the main goal is to prevent a major local outbreak and stop the disease from becoming endemic. He noted that mosquito control will become more effective as the weather cools after summer, the peak breeding season for mosquitoes. He suggested testing samples of Aedes albopictus, or the Asian tiger mosquito, a common mosquito species in the city that can carry chikungunya fever, to check whether the virus is spreading among them. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Hong Kong climbed 3 places to rank 4th in the latest World Digital Competitiveness Ranking, narrowing the gap with top countries Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. According to the WDCR published by the International Institute for Management Development, the city's overall ranking was built on top 5 positions in the technology and knowledge vectors, securing 3rd and 5th places respectively, complemented by a 10th place in future readiness, leapfrogging 5 positions from last year. A government spokesman stated that the Institute's report continued to recognize the city as one of the most digitally competitive economies in the world, adding that the SAR government will continue to promote closer collaboration with the industry, academia, research and investment sectors, consolidate and enhance the competitive edge in the global market, as well as foster the cultivation of new quality productive forces. The ranking measured the capacity and readiness of 69 economies to utilize digital technologies as a key driver for overall transformation. Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore gained the top 3 spots. Japan is sending its self-defense forces to northern Akita Prefecture, gripped by the fear of deadly bear attacks. The troops will not directly kill the beasts, but assist local hunters by capturing the animals. Quentin Yang reports.
The deployment follows a formal request from Akita's governor, who warned that the situation was dire and that local resources were exhausted. Approximately 130 personnel from the ground self-defense force have already begun conducting drills at a campsite in Akita City. They're training alongside local hunters, learning about bear ecology, how to set box traps, and the use of deterrent sprays for their own safety. Prepared members will first start operations in Kazuno City tomorrow, followed by Odate and Kita Akita. The GSDF's role will be limited to logistical support, such as transport and setting traps, as well as the disposing of carcasses of the dead bears. The use of firearms by the troops is strictly regulated by the Self-Defense Forces law, preventing soldiers from directly shooting bears. Any culling will be carried out by licensed hunters. This military deployment is a response to a record number of bear encounters this year. Akita Prefecture has reported approximately 8,000 bear sightings, a six-fold increase from the previous year, with at least 3 fatal attacks and over 50 injuries recorded prefecture-wide since April. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
A medieval tower near Rome's famed Colosseum partially collapsed during renovation, trapping a worker for at least 11 hours who died after being rescued. The prosecution office of Italy's capital has opened an investigation into the incidents. Jimmy Liu tells us more.
After the first collapse at the Torre di Conti Tower, firefighters were at the scene to rescue renovation workers inside. But the structure crumbled again, sending a huge cloud of dust into the air that loomed over the nearby streets. Firefighters tried to get near a trapped worker through a first-floor window on an aerial ladder, but was forced to retreat. Rescuers finally managed to pull the worker, a Romanian national, out of the debris late at night, but he died soon after arriving at the hospital. The first collapse happened just before noon and struck the central buttress of the tower's southern side. Around 90 minutes later, the tower came apart again and was filmed by tourists nearby. Officials said the second collapse damaged part of the stairwell and roof. First responders were able to rescue several other injured workers earlier. The tower was still standing, but showed significant internal damage, and nearby streets have been blocked off. Standing about 29 meters tall, Torre di Conti rises near the iconic Colosseum in the historic center of Rome. Built in the 13th century by Pope Innocent III as a family residence, the tower has endured earthquake damage over the centuries. It is undergoing a 4-year restoration to transform it into a museum and conference venue, with completion expected next year. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 205 points. Top active stocks of the day. Alibaba was down $4.20. Tencent was up $1. Xiaomi was down $1.30. SMIC was down $1. On to the weather now. Mainly cloudy with 1 or 2 light rain patches at first. Slightly cooler tomorrow morning with a minimum temperature of about 20 degrees. Sunny periods during the day with a maximum temperature of around 25 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our news tonight. I'm Evan Bai. Thanks for watching and good night.